to New Hampshire Unscripted with your host, Ray Dudley.
Hi, Katie.
Hi. How are you?
Good. Good to see you.
Nice to see you.
Thank you for doing this.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
I am so intrigued. I can't wait. So let's start from your invitation to join
Sure.
White Rabbit, Red Rabbit. What was it like when you got it? Did you know anything about the play and go from there?
Yeah. So I knew what the play was. Obviously, I didn't know the content of the play. Nobody does.
Right.
But I knew the concept because in the summer of 2019, I did a play called Bakersfield Mist at the Hatbox with Peter Josephson. And Peter had just prior to that done White Rabbit, Red Rabbit for New Hampshire Theater Project. Okay. Of course, he couldn't tell me anything about it, except that it was an incredible experience. And he said, if you ever get the chance to do it, do it. When Wayland reached out to me, I texted Peter and I said, I have the chance. Do you think I can do this? And he said, yes, you need to do it. It will be very different. And you have this in you. So I said, yes. And I sort of forgot about it because it was sort of a ways away.
Yeah.
When Wayland asked me, and then the pandemic hit, and then it became further away and further away and further away. So by the time I actually did the show, it had been almost 2 years, I think, since Wayland had first reached out to me.
What were your feelings before going into it when you were offered it and you kind of know what you're not going to be able to do or not know? Were you nervous? What kind of thoughts did you have about it?
Yeah. So I was nervous, but then it's funny. I was talking to Deirdre Bridge, who was also one of the actors. And I said, I'm nervous. Are you nervous? And she said, what can you do? You can't prepare. And we're used to, you and I and Deirdre and all of our colleagues in this community are used to preparing.
Right.
Figuring your character out. What did they eat for breakfast? How did they walk? Did they pull their wallet out with their left hand or their right hand? All of those things that you do to build a character that you couldn't do.
Mm-hmm.
So I was nervous, but also sort of, in some ways, I knew the audience was going to be understanding because they knew I'd never seen this before. And I also knew the audience couldn't talk about it. So if I was terrible, nobody would know.
And if
I was great, nobody would know either. But I figured, well, it's this one night. And if I really blow it, it's between me and however many people decide to come see me. And nobody will really ever know but me. But I got nervous that day.
Yeah.
Like that day I got nervous.
Is there any way to prepare? I mean, you almost can't. I hate to ask the question because I kind of know what the answer is, but how do you prepare for a play that you don't even get when you walk on stage?
Right. So one of my go-tos as an actor is always music. For every show I do, for weeks and weeks before the show, I'm finding songs, curating songs that either remind me of the character, remind me of the story, or evoke some kind of emotion in me that I respond to music, to lyrics very deeply. So every show I've done, Wit, Death of a Salesman, Bakersfield Mist, even California Suite, I have playlists in my phone named for those shows. Because it's music that I put in the car when I drive to rehearsals or the performances, and I've got it in my ears before I do a show. And so I thought, well, I can't create a playlist for this character because I don't know what this character is, or if it's one character or 100 characters or no characters. I had no idea. And so I put a playlist together of songs that were a combination of kind of pump me up anthems like You Can Do This, I put fun things on it, like I put White Rabbit on it by Jefferson Airplane, because of course.
Nice.
I put a song called Into the Unknown on there from Frozen 2, of all things, because I was going into the unknown. But then I also put on some songs that for me kind of center me and ground me and make whatever emotions I need kind of pretty easy to tap into. And I didn't know what emotions I was going to need or not need.
Right.
But I figured it couldn't hurt. So I walked up and down that back corridor at the Hat Box with my earbuds in for about 15 minutes. And I did some stretches and, jumped up and down a lot. And then I just went into the dressing room and I kept my music in and I just sat.
Oof.
And I tried to be kind of still, which was hard because people wanted to keep checking on me. Like, do you need anything? I was like, I need you to not check on me is what I need you to do. But that's all I did because what else can you do? I will say that it helped. For me, it helped. And it helped kind of center me where I needed to be.
Was there any pre-show? I know Waylon couldn't give you direction, but did you all like meet at one point and just have a discussion about the night or anything?
No, I will tell you that the actor receives an email from the playwright 48 hours before.
You do?
Yes. Well, the producer does. And then I cannot tell you what is in that email.
Of course. This may be the shortest interview ever.
Yeah. I can tell you the email was very helpful. The email gave nothing away about the show.
Okay.
I still had zero idea what I was walking into. But it helped me understand things the playwright felt were important. So he did that well without giving you a single clue to what the plot or the context of the show was. So that was helpful. But we did not talk about it as a group beforehand. Wayland was fantastic. I mean, Wayland really checked in on us kind of every week. Do you have questions? Like, for example, I love to be barefoot when I rehearse and when I perform. If I could do every show barefoot, I'd be in heaven. It's just my favorite thing. It really grounds me. I always feel very sort of rooted. And so I did call him that morning and I said, I know nothing about the set or lack of a set, or if there is a set. I don't know any of this. Is there any reason I can't be barefoot? And he said, no, you can be barefoot. It's fine. It's safe. So he was able to help us with questions we had to the extent that he was able to without giving anything away. I will tell you one thing that we have talked a lot as a group after the fact.
I was going to get to that. Yeah. Well, you can bring that up now if you want. I'm very curious.
As I drink my wine, it's been a long day. Steve LaJoy, who was the first actor to go, started, and I will say this is an incredible group of actors and people, many of whom I knew, many of whom I didn't know. And every weekend there would be an email of, break legs, you've got this, to the people that were about to go. Eric Skoglund was great at that, actually. Before every performance, he would send that email out. But Steve started an email chain and he would add you to it after you had performed. And so it sort of gave us all a place to share notes and reactions to it, which was really helpful, because I will tell you, I think I can say this, when the show was over and I was, outside the Hat Box with my family, I said to my wife, I'm not sure what just happened. So having that email chain gave us a place to kind of talk about it.
I cannot imagine. I mean, I really cannot. Waylon had said that, and Lacey said, there's no right or wrong. And yet, how do you know if you've pulled off what you needed to pull off, if there isn't even such a thing?
Well, I think that's the sort of gift of this piece, is there is no right or wrong. And everybody is really different. And I think it's easy, as actors, we're hard on ourselves. And so my first reaction in sort of reading other people's experiences was like, oh, I didn't do that, or I didn't think of it that way. And to think, oh, I was wrong. I didn't get it right. Yeah. But I think once you if you give yourself the gift of allowing for that, there's no wrong or right, and the way you did it was the right way to do it for you, then it's, it is what it is.
That's crazy when you think of it.
It is. I will say, what really helped me I didn't expect there to be as many people there as there were. That threw me. I was sort of like, oh, 10 people are going to come see me, whatever. It's going to be fine. I was a little thrown by how many people were there, and people I didn't expect to see there. And they're right there, and the lights are kind of up so you can be part of this. But as we were driving to the theater that night, my wife said to me as a joke, because she's very sarcastic, she says, we're taking this journey with you. And she was being kind of a wise ass, but she was right. And
without knowing it?
Without knowing it. And so I think for me, the whole process the entire thing felt like something the audience and I did together. We went through it together. And I don't feel like I performed. I don't feel like I necessarily was an actor, but I feel like I was a guide through this for the audience, and we got through it together. And I think I can say that without giving anything away.
Yeah. Okay. This is a very interesting dynamic. So I want to go back just a little bit, because I really want to kind of get into what your head's doing when you're on stage, even without giving anything away. Prior to, I know you had your headset on, but prior to, as an actor, I'm trying to wrap my head around what's going on. Normally we're just running lines.
Right.
We can hear the audience out there.
Right.
We get a feel for what kind of a night it might be. Have they been out eating and drinking? Is it going to be a great night? Are they quiet?
Right.
And what the piece should be. Now you're sitting backstage. You don't know what the set looks like. You don't know what the play's about. You don't know what the audience is going to react to, because they have never seen it. We think most of them probably hadn't. You pull your headset off. What happens then? How deep of a breath did you take? How fast was your heartbeat? I mean, what's going on?
So it was breathing pretty fast. I was walked to the set and given the script, and the piece started.
Oh, stop right there.
Yeah.
So you walk out. You sit. Were you behind anything? Could you? Just
I was over by the dressing room. I didn't see the set till I walked onto the stage.
Okay.
And I will be honest, I didn't notice like chunks of the set until like 2/3 of the way through the show.
Okay? Because you're in the moment.
I was nervous. My wife said she could tell I was nervous.
Yeah. How could you not be? You would have to be.
I will tell you, I got 2 pieces of advice from Peter. And if he ever watches this, he'll say, oh, no, but he really helped me. And his advice was, when you get the script, take a beat and breathe. And then start. Your impulse is, okay, I got to start. And he just said, take that moment and breathe. Yeah. I've done some training with Theater Kapow. I've done some work with Theater Kapow, and breath is very, very central to their work. And every time I work with them, I'm reminded again of how important breath is. And so I appreciated that reminder from Peter to breathe. And I had a water bottle with me on stage. My mouth tends to get very dry when I'm nervous. Yeah. And when I found myself starting to feel like things were getting away from me, I stopped and I took a drink and I took a breath. Because again, I figured nobody said I couldn't, Right. And the other thing Peter told me, which I really took to heart, was whatever emotion you feel as you move through the piece, sadness, anger, grief, laughter, joy, whatever that emotion is, tap into it and let it happen. That the piece asks for your honesty. And I really tried to take that to heart. I don't know if I succeeded or not. The audience would have to tell you that, but I tried to sort of take that to heart. Those 2 pieces of advice helped me tremendously in doing this.
Okay. You come out of the dressing room. You immediately, Waylon had said the audience lights stayed up or were still on. So now you can see everyone. Mm-hmm. Now you see the set. Mm-hmm. Does someone hand you the script, or is it there?
Yes.
Okay.
No, they hand it to me. It's in a sealed envelope.
Okay. Did you pause and look around before you open it? I mean, I cannot. Is this Can you do anything you want prior to
You
opening it? I mean,
you can, I guess. I mean, I opened it right away.
you did.
I saw some people right away, others. And remember, everyone is masked. We're still in a pandemic.
Right.
So there were people who were there who commented to me later about seeing it that I had no idea were there because of where they were sitting and the fact that they were masked. There were people who were there who I knew they were there right away. And some people whose presence was incredibly comforting. Like I had, my wife was there. One of my best friends was with her. My dear friend, Vicki Sandin, who's directed me many times, was there. I had some people from my work who had come. I had trustees from my board. I had other friends. So there were people who were there that I felt, and Peter was there right in the front in a place where I felt
no pressure.
Kind of, it's interesting. I didn't feel pressure. I really felt kind of like I had a safety net with these people.
Kudos, first of all. Well, because what's about to happen on stage, is the audience is about to watch an actor in their element, creating, literally on the fly. They are watching what we normally take 8 weeks or so to do, 2 weeks in a professional setting, but still it's 8 hours a day. You are trying now to compress into 70 minutes, and they are watching a skilled professional do right. This is, come on, take the kudos. And they are going to watch you disassemble and reassemble something on the fly immediately. It's like a magician. You're like a magic act. And at the same time, according to Wayland, at some point, the audience can get involved. I don't know anything about it, but they can get involved.
Yes.
And so you're like a master of ceremonies. At the same time, you're sculpting something out of a raw material.
Yes.
And trying to come out with a final product that's your own, that's original, that could never, ever be done by anybody else. Yeah. Girl, I love you. I just can't. It fascinates me. I have no other word for it.
Like I said, that the fact that no one will ever go out and talk about my performance gave me some freedom. I can fall or I can soar, but it's going to stay in this room. I tried to be, the Hatbox, they were on 3 sides. And so I tried to be very cognizant of connecting with as much of the audience as I could throughout the piece, of making eye contact with almost everybody. I really tried. And we always, in any piece, we feed off of the audience and we feed off of their energy. I've never had a piece other than maybe Wit where I talked to the audience directly for the entire play. I've never had a piece other than that where I got to do as much of this. And I love that. I mean, I really do love that. So that's really where I felt supported, other than one gentleman who maybe was very tired and fell asleep.
I've heard that happen.
Very supported.
It's funny. Bless the Hatbox, but it's very conducive to, all of a sudden the air conditioner thing will kick on, or the heat, and the lights are on. It's very or down, but there's always somebody who nods off because it's very
not
conducive.
The first time someone's fallen asleep in a show I've done, it won't be the last, I'm sure.
Yeah. So you've got the script. Is it a play or is it? How do I put this? Are you producing?
I really.
Okay. That's fine. Was there anything, and again, you don't have to get specific, but was there anything that tripped you up during it that caught you off guard that you were not ready?
Yeah, there was. I can't tell you what it was, but I will tell you there was a subject matter that I didn't expect and that made me very emotional. And I just tried to listen to remember what Peter said and said, if this is making you emotional, then let it. And so there were 2 times I cried. Both caught me off guard, but it happened. And I don't know that I'm not saying every actor is going to cry in those parts.
Right.
We're all different. So that I just wasn't expecting. there's some physicality to it, which I wasn't expecting, which is sort of silly. And I'm not, I mean, I am what I am, I'm like New Hampshire's B. Arthur, I'm not exactly, a agile, lithe, young thing, so there was, I jokingly had said to a couple of people beforehand, my biggest fear is I'm going to open this script and it's going to tell me to get down on the floor and then I'll never be able to get back up again. So, that didn't happen, but so there was some physicality to it that I was like, well, this isn't my strong suit, but I'll give it my good old college try. Yeah, there were some surprises for sure.
I had done some research before my Whalen interview, and that happened a lot to a lot of people. There was not that they tripped, not that there was a tripping point, but that they got caught with an emotion I think they weren't expecting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That the ride you're going along, if I understand correctly, I haven't seen it and I don't know anything about it, but and for many people, because we all come from different social, spiritual, economic backgrounds. And so I imagine that there, based on what I had read, that there's something in there that can bring out something.
Yeah.
And I had read where one actor, I think it was a Broadway performance, off Broadway, they're doing it, just broke down and cried at the end. They had given all that they had done, they really.
Yeah.
I
did
left.
when it was over. I mean, after it was over.
Yeah.
I did.
I believe it.
Yeah. I did for sure.
Is it exhausting? I mean, you're going for 70 minutes and all of a sudden, you come to the last page and.
Right. Yeah, it is exhausting. But it's also exhilarating too. I think if you were to talk to Eric, I think had an amazing audience there that night. Eric's an incredibly energetic performer. And I think he was really exhilarated in a way. I was exhilarated, but I was also kind of wrung out because we're two really different actors.
Yeah, right.
And so I think that's the joy of this piece is who you are as an actor and as a person. I was okay. I've played a bunch of roles where I've had to be fairly vulnerable. And so I was okay kind of tapping into that. One of the things that I don't want to say it's a pet peeve because that's too harsh. I feel that sometimes I see it in actors. I see it a lot in younger women who haven't quite gotten into their skin yet in their 20s or early 30s, that their emotions will stop. They only get so far to the audience. And you want to just, pull that open and get more out of them.
What a great insight.
And that comes with age and security and all sorts of things. I'm 55. I've lived a pretty interesting life. So I have the security to let myself be vulnerable that I think younger women may not. So I was okay showing whatever emotion I was going to show. I know other actors, and this is not a plus or a minus. I'm not saying I'm right and they're wrong. This is just how we approach our work. Other actors, I think it's easy to show those emotions as a character, but to show them as yourself can be very scary. So this piece, you're acting, but you're not. You're yourself, but you're not. There's a really interesting dynamic in this piece. So I respect actors who protected themselves and said, I'm not going to go there. I respect that. And I respect actors who went further than I did in letting whatever emotion they're going to show come out. I don't know. I've not seen anyone do it. I could have gone to see people who came after me.
You didn't see any of them after you?
I didn't. And I will tell you why. And there are people I loved. I mean, I had dear friends who went after me. I didn't because I kind of wanted to just keep it for me for this moment. This was this thing I did and this experience I had. And maybe if another company does it next year or 2 years, I'll be removed enough from it to go see someone else do it. But to go see someone do it, 2, 3, 4, 5 days later, I wasn't there yet. I needed to kind of just let it still be for me for right now.
That's incredible. That's incredible. So you ended up with this wonderful treasure, this gift that you were protecting. That's very insightful again. I know that there are some people, and we don't have to mention any names, who struggled with the production, their performance, somewhere in their performance. That's all I know. Is it because it requires a person to be vulnerable, or is it?
Yeah,
Again,
I don't know. I don't know that it requires that.
Yeah.
I don't. I think there's a way to do this piece without going there.
Yeah.
I think I'm a type of person that tends to tap into that a little more. Sometimes too much. Sometimes I wish I wasn't. Sometimes I wish I could, So I don't think it is at all a requirement of this piece. I think there's ways to do this piece brilliantly without going there. And I have no doubt, knowing the 8 other actors that did this piece, that every one of them was brilliant. I am 100% sure. Yeah. They are actors I really respect, every single one of them. And some I didn't know, who I wish I could have seen, but they went before me. Alex Picard, Chris, who's somebody I don't know. I would have loved to have seen her. I've not seen Steve LaJoy do I've only seen him do 1 or 2 things. I would have loved to have seen him. Eric, who's a dear, dear friend, I would have loved to have seen. But they were before me. And so I have no doubt they were fantastic. So no, I think, it's like any piece, you kind of come at it to where you are in your life too. And where I am in my life right now, and with things that have happened in my life in the past couple of years, there was a piece of this script that hit some nerves. So that's not going to happen for somebody else. And it's still going to be a fantastic performance. I mean, that is the beauty of it. There's no right, there's no wrong.
It's interesting that you talk about 9 different people performing it and would end up doing it probably 9 different ways. And yet, so the irony here, maybe it's not irony. My point is that it can be done comically, dramatically, sensitively. You've got comedians, you've got comedians and comedians, and then serious actors, and there were folks like Aaron who do improv, and Deirdre who's done a 1-woman play before, and you've got this wide variety of people who are going to see things differently. They all have a different
and we've all been trained differently. We've all gone through whatever training we've gone through. Other than the fact that, Deirdre and I have done some kapow training together. I haven't trained with any of these actors. So my training as an actor could be very different from Aaron's, from Eric's, from Steve's, so we're all going to find, I got trained as an actor 35 years ago. There was a young actor who was just, a few years out of college who did this piece. So his training is really fresh right now. So we're all going to sort of pull different tools out of our toolbox for it.
What was the audience reaction at the end? You're done with it. You closed the book.
So I can't really tell you exactly without giving away the end of the piece, but I will tell you my eyes were closed. Lacey, and then because of COVID, the audience has to leave. There's no hanging around the theater. So Lacey told me, this is where you have to have family like my wife. Lacey told me that I had gotten a standing ovation. I heard the applause. That was very nice to hear. I said that to my wife, and she said, well, we all had to stand up to leave, so I don't know.
That's cruel. But,
that's... So maybe I did, maybe I didn't. Maybe they were just standing up to get out of the theater. I don't know. Again, I felt just a tremendous amount of support and kind of love, and we're with you from the audience.
Could you feel them with you through the whole thing?
100%.
You did.
100%. Yeah.
So they were buying into. Were they sympathetic? Were they just curious? What do you think they were?
I think curious is a great way to say it, and it's hard. Again, it's hard to tell because they were all masked. Yeah. So there was only so much I could see of their reactions.
Yeah.
I heard laughter at things that I did that apparently were funny. And I heard silence, and I heard at one point they talked to me, but I never felt like I didn't have them with me. I mean, I really felt like, oh, we're in this together. That was kind of cool.
Do you think that there's people who should not do this? Or would you say, no, everyone should if they get the chance? I mean,
it's hard for me to say that without telling you any content. I think it's a great thing for any actor to do. I'll say what Peter said. I mean, you should do it. You'd be amazing. You'd be amazing. I have a lot of I have a lot of actor friends who didn't come because of that, because they do hope to do it someday. And I 100% respect that. I told my daughter not to come. She's 22. She's got a long acting career ahead of her. She might get the chance to do it someday. So
yeah,
I said, no, I don't think you should come. And I respect that.
Yeah, I agree. I know you can't do it again, but would you do it again knowing what?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
I would. Yeah.
What did it do for you? Did it do anything for you yourself? I mean, did it?
Yeah. I will say it's been a long couple of years, and, almost 2 years of pandemic life. And I'm at an age where there's not a ton of great roles that, people aren't beating down my door for roles for 55-year-old, freakishly tall, prematurely gray actors, Yeah. If I look at one more casting call and the woman is described as 30s and attractive, I'm going to throw something. There's not a lot for me. Yeah. I don't really want to just do silly farces. I want to do things that mean something. I want to do things that are well written and are interesting, and the characters are real people. And so for me, I'm at a point right now where I don't know what's coming down the pike. I don't know if I have a show coming or not. Mm-hmm. I may not. That may be the last thing I do. It's the whole landscape has changed because of the pandemic. And it really reinforced to me that if I'm going to give up my time with my family, it's going to be something that's got to be good and really worth it. Yeah. And so for me, I thought this could be the last time you're on stage for a long time or ever. I don't know. Yeah. So it kind of felt like I had nothing to lose, but it reminded me that I know what I'm doing. I mean, I'm trying to say that without sounding cocky.
No, do it.
But it reminded me that I do know what I'm doing.
Good.
And I can do this.
Good.
And that there's a place for me on stage still. Hopefully that's not the last thing I do.
Yeah. But I was really glad you said that. I was hoping you'd say something along those lines, because I cannot see how a responsible actor can go into a project like this and come out the other end not having grown or feel now that they're more courageous. They feel braver. Yeah. They feel, when I had done True, until True, I was enjoying parts, but I wasn't creating. And one thing that True did for me was it stopped me in my tracks. And I thought, this is the kind of work I thought I was doing, but I hadn't until True. Right. And it made me really appreciate creating.
Yeah.
Some of the roles I did, it was just me just being a different face,
Yeah. I've always enjoyed rehearsal almost more than performing, because that's where the creating happens.
Yes.
Where the work happens. So this was kind of like both at once. Yeah. It was a read through, a run through, a tech week, and a performance all in one night, So I've always enjoyed that. I always sort of love just those times when it's just you and the other actor or actors, and these three chairs are standing in for our couch, and this piece of paper is standing in for the tray or whatever it is, because that's when you're just stripped down to really creating. I've always liked that almost more than the performance.
Yeah, I agree. I think I've always called the rehearsal time an adult playground, because that's when, if you're smart, you'll use it to go on the merry-go-round, to use the slide, to do the jungle gym, and always looking to create, to add and subtract and keep trying different things. Do I limp? Do I wink? Do I, whatever. I cannot imagine trying to do that in 70 minutes with something that you just got. That is a whole different story. Yeah. So I said kudos before, but I mean that. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
It's just so courageous. It's just so
thank you. And I got to thank Wayland for believing in me and asking me to do it.
Yeah. So what would you say to somebody who may in the future get offered the chance.
Oh, just do it. Oh, just do it. I'll say what Peter said. Just do it, because you'll never do anything like it again.
Yeah. I can't believe you would.
Yeah.
It's a once in a lifetime thing,
Yep.
right? And you can't be compared to anybody because it's so unique.
Right. So what do you got to lose?
It's like a painting.
Yeah.
You can almost replicate the painting, but one stroke difference makes it a different painting.
Right.
Oh, Katie, I love you. I love you.
Thank you.
Well, is there anything else you wanted to say about it, or anything that you can, or
No, I just want to thank the players and Wayland and all the audiences and the other 8 actors who just have, I really enjoyed all of our interactions.
Mm.
We were never a company, but, the 9 of us went through this thing together, and that's been really neat.
Odd relationship, huh?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Well, I want to thank you. I really do, because these are the discussions that I love.
Thanks. It was nice to talk to you again.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad you did this. I really am.